Hey, B-siders, welcome and thanks for tuning in yet again. Today I am joined by the funky Nastiya. Hello and welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. I'm glad you're here and I can't wait to, talk to you about all things music and also mental health. I think will be a little bit what we're going to touch on, I think. But
Yeah,
first, I'm going to introduce you shortly, and then please feel free to add on anything that you feel might be important or I might have missed. But hopefully, I'll cover it all. So you're originally from Russia,
yeah,
and yeah, you've traveled the world, by what I understand. You sort of spent time in New York, LA, Moscow, obviously, because that's where you're from. And you've done all sorts of things, dropping out of school, kind of trying to find yourself, from what I understand, and now ended up doing music. So I'd love to hear, just to start off with, a little bit about that journey. How did you end up with the music part?
the music.
Yes,
I
that'd be
mean,
very interesting.
it's a longer story to be honest, because I kind of started with music. So when I was a kid, like when I was like 9, 10-ish, I wanted to do music. Initially, that was my childhood dream, and I was like, yeah, when I grow up, I want to be a singer. I was a big fan of this girl back home. She was on this talent show, and she was because like Russia is a very traditional country, right? So we didn't really have any musicians that would, dress more like punky, gothy, like anything like that. And she was like the pioneer of that image, let's say. And I was obsessed with that because I was obsessed with Avril Lavigne, and she was like a Russian Avril Lavigne. So I was like looking up to her, and I wanted to be her and all this. So because of her, actually, I got into music as a kid. But I was bullied in school, and I was bullied for my singing as well, and a lot of other things. So I did take classes in primary school, some in middle school, but I dropped out of vocals, guitar, whatever I started because I wanted to play with the kids. And I was like, yeah, like, why am I here doing this? Like, this is completely useless. I'm not getting anywhere. I should be outside playing. Look at them, blah, blah. And I was telling myself all these things. So I never like pursued it in a way. And the older I got, the worse my fear of singing and performing, and even telling people that I, enjoy making music, it just got worse. So the more I grew, let's say, the more I like locked myself in, and I was still writing songs, and I would learn like how to play guitar in my dorm because I went to boarding school, but I never told anyone about it. So if I were playing something, for example, and then the kids stormed in, I would just like throw my guitar away. I'm like, yeah, no, 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 that wasn't me. I was that embarrassed. So it took me a while, and then in uni I never studied music. Like it was a journey. Like I would always, for some reason, choose something else. Like for example, I'm a psychology major, which is completely different. And then before music, I worked in fashion for many, many years. So I think there came a point. I was making music throughout my life, but it just, again, like I never even considered that I would ever pursue this professionally, and I would ever want for this to be my career again. Like it's just, I completely like threw it out of my head until I started therapy. And I was talking to my therapist, and she was like, yeah, what do you enjoy? Because when I came to therapy, I was at a point where I didn't know anything about myself. Like when she would ask me what's my favorite drink, I had no answer. Like I was that lost. She was like, yeah, what do you enjoy? And I was like, music. She's like, okay, so why aren't you making music? And I was like, I don't really know. And I started like digging into it, and I was like, what happened? Like this was your dream. Like where did it go wrong? So I don't know, after a year in therapy and then 2 more years doing fashion and all these other things that I didn't enjoy, I think November last year, I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I just want to be happy. And I realized that, so many things in my life have changed over the years, but music has always been a constant. Like, even if I were to, even if I considered, I don't know, moving country, changing like career direction, whatever, music was always there. Like, it was always something that in my head I would fall back on. So I was like, why the hell am I not doing this? Like, what happened? Like I'm 27 years old. I was like, you might as well start now. Like you could have been doing this all these years. Like you have to make up for the time. This is what you love. So that's how I got back into it. And then once I started making music, I couldn't stop really. So here I am.
I love
Mhm.
the fact that you sort of came kind of full circle to your passion, and I do see that, and a lot that people have a passion and in something they really, really, truly love, and they just put it to the side and go, well, I have to have a traditional job or do something else that's more
Yeah.
acceptable by society, whatever reason they give themselves. And the other bit I love what you said was that it was like the constant in your life. And I
Hmm.
guess any music lover or any musician, they know exactly what you're talking about. So
Yeah.
what's
But I think that's with any career, it's like I talk to so many people, and like you said, like a lot of people go back full circle. It's like when you're a kid, there's always going to be this one thing that you love, because when you're a kid, you don't think about, whether that's going to bring you money. You don't think about what other people are going to say. You just love something. And that one thing normally is what you ideally should be doing in life, because that's what you enjoyed initially. That's where your passion lies.
yes, yes, 100% agree with you. So once you make that decision to pursue music, did that help you with like your overall mindset, your health? Did you feel like it's a shift happening there, or did that just sort of seamlessly go and it just, yeah, it just happened? Did you notice anything there or not
No,
really?
it was really painful. It was really
Really?
painful at first.
Oh.
Yeah, like I had to really overcome myself, because when I say I had a fear of like performing, it's not even a fear. Like it was almost a phobia. Like I couldn't go to a karaoke. Like if I were humming something while working, at the office, and somebody would overhear it, I would just immediately go silent. Like I couldn't even open my mouth. So it was like a big thing.
Oh.
So it was really painful. It was very scary as well, because I kept thinking like, okay, I kept thinking about those kids from school as well, because I still know some of them and keep in touch with some. I was like, oh, what are they gonna say? And like it's been what, 17 years, like I really need to move on, but it's still it was still in the back of my head. So it was quite difficult at first. So I released my first single, I think, in 2021, and then I didn't release anything for another year, because it was just like I remember posting about it on Instagram, and I posted like the cover art, and I just didn't go on my social media for like a couple of days after this. I was terrified. I didn't want to see anything. I didn't want to see the comments, and like I didn't even try to promote it. Like I just left it there and I disappeared and I never got back to
Oh
it.
gosh.
Yeah, but it's okay now. I'm a lot better, and now also because I've been practicing, and I've been getting better at like production and my instruments and songwriting. Like I know I'm a much stronger songwriter now, so I have a lot more confidence as well. And
Mhm.
also I think maybe that came with the age. Maybe it's just, my whole therapy journey and everything, but I'm just so much more confident in myself now, and I'm generally so much happier ever since I started making music full time. So I don't really care what people say now, but I do
Mm.
remember that, panic, state of panic that I was in 3 years ago.
Yeah, oh god. So when you looked at your social media account after a few days, did you get any comments?
Yes, some, but
And
because it was just a post, people didn't really understand what happened there. So
right.
it wasn't a big thing. So that I was happy with that, because I was like, okay, you know what? Some people saw it, but like nobody really did. So it's there, but it's not really there. It was like a good first
Yeah.
step for me. But
Hmm.
it was just my closest friends that obviously, like, that really look at what I post. They were like, oh no, you're making music. Oh my God, I didn't know. We had like little conversations, and that's it. And then I laid low.
Yeah. It appears to me that just taking this like imperfect action helped you partly with building that confidence to kind of go, well, I don't give an F anymore now. What people think, this is what I
Yeah, of
do, this
course.
is who I am. Yeah. So that's a
Baby
really
steps.
valid point, actually. Yeah, baby steps, exactly. And I think that's what a lot of us people forget, no matter what you do, it's the baby steps that count. We see like
Yeah.
these mega great artists and you think, God, I have to be like them. Well, they started somewhere. They're
Mm,
not, they've not
of
always been
course.
like that. So great. Now
Of
the
course.
other thing that I hope you don't mind touching on, and I know you're actually trying to raise awareness on this, is your health journey that you're on as well.
Yeah.
And you do say that you want to raise awareness around all that. So share a little bit about what that kind of entails and what you hope to achieve through sharing your journey with people.
I mean, I have BPD, which is
Mm.
borderline personality disorder. It's often confused with bipolar, but it's not that at all. It's just often misdiagnosed because like the symptoms are very similar. It's basically, to put it simply, it's not being able to regulate your emotions at all and not being able to recognize your emotions. So they say, we don't really know, we'll never know, I guess, but they say that this happens because like as you grow up in your family, you're not taught to sort of understand what you're going through. So for example, if you're happy, nobody identifies it as happy, you know, or like people like gaslight you and stuff. That's what happened to me in school. It's like when you're crying, they're like, oh, you know, it's not that big, it's not that big of a deal. Like, why are you crying? You shouldn't be crying about this. So you sort of end up in this like rabbit hole of confusion where you have no idea what you're feeling 100% of the time. And that, as you like grow and everything, results in you acting out. That's what happened to me personally. It's like, if I was happy, I didn't know how to stop being happy, you know, and I would go party and this and that. And I would just, you know, I would go on these like 5-day binges where I'm just out, because I was like, oh my God, like you feel so much energy, but you don't know that's an emotion. You just like go with it. Same with happiness, with anger. You cannot regulate your anger. Like I had major outbursts, and you know, I've hurt people, and you know, I've just done terrible things. And then again, sadness. Like you end up like when you're just a little bit sad about something, you don't really know. Like you don't understand that this is something that comes and goes. Like you always feel whatever you're feeling on the inside as if it's going to stay there forever. So obviously, you like just go deeper and deeper and deeper into whatever that emotion is. So that's been me, and lived like this my entire life. Only started therapy, well, 3 years ago or 4 years ago now. So yeah, and I think partially that what made me want to make music as well, because I don't know how to put this into words, but it's like it's sort of therapeutic to talk about what you're feeling, because you know when you're in therapy for BPD, they make you write these diaries, right? So it's like you will write an emotion that you think you're feeling, and then you write all these things that are connected to it, like things that happen to you throughout the day, you know, people that may have been like behind you feeling that way, etc., etc. So that's what got me into the habit of writing my feelings down in a way. Because as a kid, I would write like little poems, but I never really was just like super, super emotional. I would just write something and forget about it. But that sort of gave me the structure of like breaking down what I'm feeling on the inside. And then I started like all these feelings that I was feeling, and you know, these connections that I was making, I started making them into music. And that's what I think makes my songwriting very personal as well, because that's literally me going through exactly what I was going through in my head at that moment or another, you know. And the way that I try or intend to write things is that I'm trying to be very raw. Like I try not to get very poetic with things. I just try to say things as they are. And I think people need that, because you know, like everything in the world is romanticized, right? And when I hear, for example, a sad song, it doesn't like on the radio or something, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really help me go through something. You know how some people say like, yeah, you know, like when I was feeling sad, this song made me feel better. It doesn't happen to me because I cannot connect with the lyrics. Like I don't see that person that I'm listening to is going through exactly the same thing that I'm going through. Like it just I can't make that connection. So what I'm trying to do is to just burst all my feelings out, and like if something happened to me, I will say exactly what happened to me. So maybe the person that's listening to my song can relate to that experience as well. Maybe that exact same thing happened to them as well. And they're not going to feel as alone anymore in a way. So it's music, but then it's also very therapeutic in a way. It's like, it's a little bit like diary, or even, I don't know, writing a book for me in a way. Because I do connect to books a lot more than I connect to music, you know, because that's a lot more honest. And then people just say things as they are as well. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do, if that makes any sense. I don't know if I make any sense.
Yes, I think you do. I think you do, because I can relate to a certain degree, although I do need my sad songs because obviously I'm a different person, so I can connect to that. But I know a lot of people, they probably can't, you know. But I do find music healing. So sometimes it's the sounds that I connect with, sometimes it's the lyrics. So it really depends. So I can understand where you're coming from, because sometimes I look at the lyrics and go, really? No, thanks. You know, but then the sound really draws me in. So yeah. So like you said, it's kind of almost like you heal through writing your own music and hope that helps other people as well. Is that kind of,
Yeah,
yeah, in a nutshell,
yeah.
what are you trying to do?
To put it
Right.
simply, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, rawness and honesty is always better than being fake, right?
Yeah, no, but it's also like it's just that's the thing with me. It's like music is poetry, right? Like songwriting is poetry, and I get that, but it's just sometimes it's too hard to connect to something that's so, like I said, romanticized, and it's like sometimes I just want someone to say like I feel like crap. Like that's
Mm,
exactly what I want to hear. You know what I mean? And that's it. That's it. Like that made my day because I feel like crap too. That's
mm.
good. We're on the same page. Like I know I'm saying something very stupid, but like to put it simply, that's what I'm looking for sometimes in a song, and I don't hear that a lot.
Yeah. But then again, I don't think it's stupid, because if it's sometimes you need it really blunt and really
Yeah.
raw and honest, because that's just how it is. I mean, how can you
Mm,
sugarcoat feeling like crap or having messed up? Sometimes you just need
yeah.
to hear it that way
Yeah.
to connect.
It's like I
So
just do, it's like I don't want to like when I write sometimes I like sometimes I just go into a different world and I'll say something like, oh, I'm swimming in a sea of mud and this and that and I'm drowning in the waves, but I'm like, no, I just feel like crap. Like that's it. That's my point. Like it doesn't need to be this long, it's fine.
and that's cool. That's cool. Like I said before, we need that sometimes. Just sort of, cut through everything and just hear it like it is. So yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing as well is, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like because of what you've gone through, with your mental health and everything, you probably don't want it sugar coated, because it is what it is. And I do feel oftentimes people who suffer in silence, and they want someone to kind of talk for them almost, because the whole social setting is so like, oh, if you have a mental illness, don't talk about it, just suffer in
Mhm.
silence. So if someone like you
Yeah.
comes along and basically says, I feel like crap, that's perfect,
Yeah.
right? So I think in a way you're talking for people who can't say it, and I
Yeah.
think that's great. So keep on doing it.
Thanks. No, but it's also like I've built up so many stories throughout the years, and I feel like even people that speak up about their mental health, and I get that, honestly, I was that way too. Like nobody wants to talk because I know I did a lot of horrible things. And there's a lot of things that I regret doing. There's a lot of things and situations that, if I could go back, I wouldn't let myself end up in. And I don't want to hide these stories because, behind every single action that we take, there's something that followed, right? And like all these things made me who I am. And I guess me sharing some things and some experiences, I hope that it's going to motivate some people to stop hiding theirs in a way. Because I would rather admit to doing something terrible and be like, listen, I did that. It's horrible. I've worked through it. I'm really sorry. I'm a better person now, than
Mm,
to just lock it up in my head and forget about it and then just live as it never happened, because it didn't make me a
mm,
different person. I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't do that.
mm. The question that comes out of that is, though, if you're someone that suffers in silence with that, how do you build up to that point where you go, I don't care? I guess that's a whole nother story or a whole nother thing we could talk about. But yeah, that'd be an interesting point for me. How did you work that up? Is that because you went through therapy and you sort of learned to do that, or is that
Yeah,
how you?
100%. No, but for me, yeah, when I started therapy, I was at a point of no return. Like I, for the first time in my life, didn't know how to fix my life. Like I couldn't even come up with anything that would make my life turn around for the better. Like nothing. And that was the first time that I ever considered doing therapy long term, because I was in and out, but like never really committed.
Mm,
And that really changed me. Yeah, like my therapist was amazing, honestly, and she was so patient with me. But I did the whole thing. Like I did like just one-on-one therapy. I did group therapy. I did medication. So I did like the whole thing,
wow.
and that really helped me. But it didn't. It wasn't like the end of it. So I left therapy 2 years ago. So I did like a year of like the BPT course. Let's put it that way. And then it took me another 2 years to bring up the courage to do music, right? So for these 2 years, I was still like finding myself and still building up the courage. It's just I had the skills to do it, but it's still like
Mm.
you need to like I said, baby steps. You need to do this thing first and that thing second, and blah blah blah. And then you're gonna build up your personality,
Mm.
your courage and everything. But the path is different for everyone. But I do think
Mm.
that therapy, if you really feel like you cannot figure it out yourself and you're tired and you don't want to do this anymore, then you should definitely seek therapy. Like it
Mm.
really helps. It's really scary. And I know that it's scary because I've been through it, and it's also scary to like tell people about it because stigma and people always say horrible things, but it's
Mm.
gonna make you a different person. Like it made me a different person. I'm really glad that, I didn't back out.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Thanks. That's a great answer. I love it. Now, obviously, after all this that you've been going through, you're making music now and you can pursuing this as your full-time thing. I listened to one of your songs and I would love to talk a little bit about that one. It's the song called Wild One. And I'll be
Yeah.
very honest, when I first heard it, I'm like, oh, that's unusual. So my normal sort of music brain went, I couldn't quite figure out if
Yeah.
I like it or not. But it's one of those songs for me, when I listen to it regularly, I go, I really get sucked into it now.
Mm.
So tell us a little about Wild One, the whole story, like what
Yeah.
it's about, how did you come up with it, whatever you want to share, please do.
I think the reason why Wild One is so confusing is because it is to me as well. I think I sort of kind of accidentally made it this way. Um, I think Wild One is a good intro to everything that I'm about to release, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily reflective of an album that I have coming out in February, but I'll talk about that later. But basically, Wild One, it's a long story because I started writing it. I'm gonna make a little intro to it. Like basically, I dropped everything, quit my job, and left for the States in I think March. And it was like a big step for me because I've always wanted to go to the US, and I left by myself completely, just me, my dog, and my suitcase. So it was like this whole transitional experience, and that's when I started taking music like really seriously, and like fully working on that. And that's when I started writing Wild One. And the very first verse that I wrote for it was after I had the fight with my dad. And I have this dynamic with my dad my entire life because he's my best friend and he's been the one that's like helped me through my bad situations and stuff. So like fights with my dad really hit me so hard because I feel so ashamed of all the things that he's had to go through my entire life. So I started writing Wild One after that fight. So it started with that line, like, would you really care if I said that I jump? And it started off like a very depressing song, to be honest. I was just thinking like, oh, would anybody care about what I have to say? Would anybody care about anything that I have to do? And then it was like, yeah, like I know that I'm the wild one, I'm sorry. Like it was like this apologetic kind of like song at first. So I just wrote a bit of it and then I forgot about it. Then when I was already in the US in the summer, I ended my 2 year long relationship, and I rewrote Wild One to that person. Like it became like a different song because it was like, oh, I warned you I'm the wild one, so like why are you complaining now? It was a bit more like passive aggressive in a way.
Okay.
So then it was this. And then for the third time, it was when I already I finished my whole like US journey. I came back home for a month. I met with my producer that we're working with now, and we wrote the beat to it. So it's like the music basically. We wrote that. And I was like, I want to rewrite the lyrics entirely. Like this is so much. The song is fun. Like it should be fun. It shouldn't like I don't want to apologize for anything. Like this is what I am. Like this is my life. So I
Yeah.
rewrote it again for the third time, but it was this time around it's more like it's a bit of a party song, but then it's a bit about me, about my messy side in a way. It's about a girl who's at the bar. She's had too much to drink. Maybe there's like the way I would picture the music video in my head is there's this guy, that she likes, but then they have a fight, but she's like, yeah, but I told you, it's gonna get messy, like why you're running away. And it's like this whole messy drunk situation, but not in a depressing way. Like, it's like it happens to everyone. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about? Like these moods where you're just like, like you wake up the next morning, you're like, okay, that was fun, but probably too much, a little bit too much.
Mm.
So it
Yeah.
became like this little fun party tune, but yeah, that's why there's so many different things in it because it's gone through so many different transformations. But I'm really glad with the result because initially it was very synthy, was like lyrics were depressing, but the song, like the music itself was so much fun. And now I think it's like a good balance between, I want to pick apart the lyrics, but I also want to dance to it. So it's like,
Yeah. I have to say it's a really sort of cool, kind of funky, funny song. And yeah,
yeah,
it makes sense, like when you sort of, go through your party days or whatever else, and you sort of like, I've warned you, don't take me home, you never know what's gonna
yeah,
happen. So that's really
yeah,
cool.
exactly. Like it's just like, yeah, I just try to make it fun, to be honest. That's
Mm,
all.
good. So if you say it's an introduction to what's to come, what can people expect from like future releases and your album, obviously?
Well, I have a new song coming out on October 27th. I forgot that we're in October. October 27th. It's called Bury Me, and it's that one is a lot more raw, honest, and even a little bit scary. Like I said, that's my intention for my music from now on. And it's about an abusive relationship that I was in, and basically the relationship that made me seek therapy in the first place. And it's like a metaphor about, you know, being so in love with someone that you don't see their dark sides. And
Mm.
the way I put it is that that person is like burying you alive. And as they bury you, you're still like, oh, did I do something wrong? So you still blame yourself. So it's like a sad song, but it's a lot more electronic. It's a lot more experimental. There's like three different genres in the one song. So I think that one is going to be, it's going to be maybe a little bit more confusing, but but I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud of it. I just literally uploaded yesterday. So that's coming out. And then I'm working on an album called Demons that I intend to release February, March. I hope I'm going to make that deadline. And it's basically, there's going to be 13 songs because 13 is my lucky number, surprisingly or not. And every single song is basically related to one of those stories and experiences that I've touched on earlier. So it's like something bad that happened to me. I just put it in a song and I just, and I just say it and I just talk about it. And then I close that chapter. And there's like 13 songs that are like that. So it's basically like 13 different stories, and it's going to be, like I said, a lot more electronic, but then also groovy. It's like we're trying to keep the bass electronic, and then layer different genres onto it. So one song is a little bit more country, another song is a little bit more like hip hoppy, another song is a little bit more R&B, depending on the lyrics, the vibe, and the story itself.
Mm. Sounds good.
So there's that.
So a little bit like an autobiography almost in an album format,
Yeah,
maybe.
100%.
Yeah,
No, no,
cool.
100%. Because I said in an interview, I think in June, and I didn't have the album planned yet. It was just an idea. I was like, yeah, I wish I could sort of put everything bad that happened to me in like music, release it, and then close the chapter forever, and then just move on with my life. And I said that, and I never thought about it again. I just forgot about it. And then when I started like writing song after song, I'm like, wait, but I'm doing this. I'm like, this is exactly like I manifested this. Like, this is exactly what I'm doing.
It
So
was
we're
meant
just
to be.
working on that. Yeah, right. It's
Yeah.
like you want to do something, but you never like it's in the back of your head, and then it just happens to you. So
It's the way it's supposed to go.
yeah,
So you're planning to release that in February or March 24.
hopefully.
Yeah, cool.
I was
Well,
actually intending on releasing it on Valentine's Day, but I don't think that's gonna happen because it's always like this with music. Like you think you're gonna get it done quickly, but then you start tweaking things, and then there's this, and then that song doesn't work, this song doesn't work, and
yeah. Oh well,
so I don't
that
know.
would be a great Valentine's Day present to everybody. An album called Demons, did you say? On
No,
Valentine's
but it's
Day.
like I'm an anti Valentine's Day person because like I'm a bit of a darker like gothic nature, right? So I'm
Oh,
like
okay.
it's like I'm like, yeah, I like Valentine's Day, but then also like I would rather do something fun and stupid on Valentine's Day. Like I'm not like a romantic, like, but that's just me alone, me personally. Like I don't like going to a restaurant or receiving flowers. Like that makes me like super awkward. I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, let's just go out. Let's go to the park. Let's go for a run. Like, I'm a very bizarre person in that sense. So for me personally, it would make sense to release that album on Valentine's Day.
Well, you never know, it might happen. Fingers crossed.
Let's see. Yeah.
Well, that's something to look forward to. So have you got anything planned in the meantime, or are you just going to focus on getting that album done and ready for release, or is there
Yeah,
anything else?
I'm releasing the song on the 27th.
Yep.
Then I'm releasing another song. That's the one that's going to be released on 27th. It's like the first song of the album.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Then I'm releasing another song in November around the 15th to 16th. That's just going to be a fun song. I'm not going to spoil it now because I think that one is really good. And then I'm gonna drop 2 more songs that are gonna go on the album as well. So in December and January. So what I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to like release something every month if I can, to sort of also like to discipline myself in a way, and then
Right.
also to to spread
Create a
the
bit
word
of,
about my music and
yeah.
always bring something new to the world. I think that's important, especially now content is moving so fast and social media is so fast, like you have to work quick as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's
mm,
very true. Everything seems to get faster and faster these days, so
yeah.
can be a bit of a pain sometimes. But yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of excited now. I'm kind of excited to
Thank
see
you.
what you release and how everyone will react to it. And so definitely keep me in the loop what's going on.
For sure.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Now, I always kind of close off my chats with humans with the one question. If you had to pick a song to describe your life and or your business, which one would that be? Could you pick one?
I always have the same answer. Youth by Daughter. I don't know if you
Mm-hmm.
know it.
I
If
think
you
I've
don't know
heard
it,
it.
listen to it.
Mm,
Yeah, I'm sure if you hear it, you're gonna remember it. Like it was everywhere at some point, but it's so sad and so like it's one of those poetic songs, but then it just stabs your heart, but like in the best way. It's insane. I think it's one of the best songs ever written by anyone in this world. So it's always this, and it's about basically, yeah, it's about being young and not knowing what to do with your life. It's like that, those like dramatic teenage years put in a song, I guess. It's really good.
yeah, dramatic teenage years. Don't we all have those?
No, but yes.
Hormones. Hormones.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's a great answer. Yeah, and I'll give you like the last words. Do you want to share anything, obviously apart from your album and your songs that are going to drop every month? Is there anything else you want people to know about you, your music, your journey, anything? Please share away.
I mean, I guess it's not going to be about me since we're talking about mental health and stuff. I just want to say that never be afraid to be yourself. And, wherever you go, you're always going to have you next to you. You're your own best friend. You're gonna you're the person that you're gonna spend the most time with. So might as well work on that person and get close to that person and befriend that person. Like never run away from yourself. Um, and that would be my advice for today
Mm.
for everybody listening.
I love that, especially people who deal with some form of mental health and everything. I think that's a really, really great message. Yeah, thanks for sharing. I think it needs to be said more often. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Well, Besiders, I hope you've enjoyed this chat, and please keep your ears and eyes out for the new songs that are going to drop over the next few months. And the album should be dropping, as we said, early in 2024. Otherwise, you can find Nastasia's media channels everywhere in the episode description. Connect with her, let her know what you think of her music, and just get in touch with her and connect with her and show your support. All right, we're gonna finish
Thank
now.
you so much.
Yeah, I was just about to say thank you for coming on and sharing your story. I appreciate it a lot.
Thanks. It was really exciting, actually. I feel good now.
Oh, excellent. I love that. I love that. I love a good jamming out session on my podcast. It's always great to hear. All right, Besiders, we're gonna love you and leave you. And as I always say, much music and love to you all. Until next time, you take care. Bye for now. Bye.
Bye.